My mum, she passed away in 2017. I quickly realised I was like spiralling into unhappiness and depression. I was like, I can't go through all this shit and like not have anything good come from it.
Meet Olivia Jenkins, a Forbes 30 Under 30 founder who turned grief into D.Louise, the UK's fastest growing jewellery brand.
I was genuinely just buying products that I loved, building a business to find my purpose.
Armed with passion, persistence, and drive, Olivia disrupted an entire industry, creating an 8-figure brand that's taking on the greats.
I want to be able to dominate that space with D.Louise, like no other jewellery brand could do it.
Tune in as she shares her thoughts on everything from superpowers to risk.
You can only survive that space if you have a good product. The biggest risk to entrepreneurs is not having enough focus. Lots of the great...
Don't say that. Stop. Can we cut?
Making this one deeply inspiring.
Resilience is all about, it's not that you don't have hard days, it's about how quickly you can come back from them.
And an all-out laugh.
The real question, what is flipping?
I was going to say a paddling pool with a fat guy in.
Olivia, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the lock-in. Yeah. We're delighted to have you here. Founder of D.Louise,
Yes.
UK's fastest growing jewellery brand.
Love that.
Of particular interest to us because we've dabbled in the jewellery space in the past, but we won't go into that in too much detail. You're also recently in the Forbes 30 Under 30 list and in the Sunday Times Young Entrepreneur list. So yeah, amazing. We're delighted to have you on board.
Thank you. I feel like all these lists are so like, oh God.
I'm still waiting to be in some, yeah.
It's the most Irish or English thing of all time. If someone pays you a compliment, you're like, no, stop.
Yeah.
It's like, it hurts nearly, doesn't it? Yeah.
You were on some list before, weren't you?
Was I?
Yeah. Was Ireland something?
Ireland's worst.
Not a good
Over 30.
I was going to say most wanted.
Yeah, wanted for a court appearance, standing for Moy Cork.
There's loads we want to dive into today.
Yeah.
Talking about how you set up the brand, got it to the size it is today, the challenges that came with that. But I think it's only fair that we start in the origin story, which is obviously so important to you, and you can see right through that brand. So, do you mind telling us a little bit about, why you decided to start this brand in the first place?
Yeah, no, definitely. It was during COVID, and there was these two types of people in COVID, the ones that were like making banana bread, or they were like so productive. They were like tidying their rooms and like doing all these things. And I was making banana bread. And I was also doing Courtney Black. Do you remember she was just such a movement during lockdown every
Who's that,
day?
sorry?
Courtney Black. She did these live workouts on Instagram
There's
every
Bradley
day.
Simmons, that sort of thing.
Same kind of thing. So I was doing that. I was waking up. I was doing her workout at 9 a.m. every day, and I was then making banana bread. And I quickly realised that I wasn't actually that happy. And my job was in marketing, and my clients were all travel clients. So our budgets were completely cut. So every day I would like wake up, squiggle my mouse, have nothing to do. And I was just like, what is going on? Same as like everyone was also feeling this. And I quickly realised I was like spiralling into unhappiness and depression. And that's not really something that I've ever really had before. Like, I'm quite a positive person. I felt like I was quite happy, but during that time I was just not really feeling that great. And my partner, Jack, who is the CEO and co-founder of D.Louise, he had another business and it was booming. Like, everyone had so much money and everyone was spending all of their money on clothes. So he was like loving life. He had an office, so he was going there every day. And he was so happy. And it was so interesting to see him working so hard and having so much happiness from work and growth. And before then, I had never really realised that you could get happiness from working. I always just thought like you just work to live, not... And I was just like, that's what you do. And I'd never been the person that would live to work. Like, I didn't really enjoy it. But what I realised was the reason why I didn't enjoy it is because I had actually no idea what I wanted to do. And I'd never really sat with myself to think, this is what I'm good at, this is what I could progress in. I just was kind of like just coasting through life. So I went to him and I was like, feeling all these kind of things, do you have any advice? He's quite wise, Jack. So I was like, I'm hoping that he's gonna be able to like solve all my problems and tell me what to do. And he was like, oh, I think you should start a business. And honestly, when he told me that, I was like, right, he's way off it. Like, I have no idea how I'm going to start a business. Like, I'm literally working out, making banana breads and squiggling my mouse. And he's like, oh, you should go up and set up a business.
He's had too many of those 1 point shots.
Yeah, definitely. And I was just like, there's just no chance. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that. And then, you know, when you get an idea and it sort of snowballs into something else. And I was like, oh, well, maybe he is right and I've got nothing to lose. And he really believed in me. And my parents definitely believed in me and they supported me through everything I wanted to do. But no one really gave me that confidence to like go out on my own and make me do something for myself. So it was the first time that I was like, okay, I'm going to do this and hopefully find my purpose. And eventually, yeah, I did.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Was there a moment when you first kicked that off that you were like, oh, actually, he was right, this is something?
Yeah, it was interesting. In the really early days, it's like, you don't really realise what you're doing or creating. And I was very much in the weeds and I was doing really small steps. Like I would set up an Instagram and I would set up the website and he would show me how to like add products to Shopify. And then I'd do that for a whole day. And then I think it was then once I'd done like maybe 100 steps, I was like, oh, this actually could go live now and this actually could be a business. And one thing, obviously, I know that we'll touch on it, but where I wanted the business to be my purpose, I named it after my mum. So she passed away in 2017. And your parents give you so much direction in life and they tell you like what you should and shouldn't do. And ever since I lost her, I was kind of coasting and I wasn't really making decisions that were aligned with who I wanted to be. So when I had this opportunity to have the business, I was like, if I name it after her and do it almost for her, it's going to give me that higher purpose from the very start. So that definitely helped.
Could drive you on.
Yeah.
Almost like she's there with you the whole time.
100%, yeah.
Asking her for advice or whatever else it is. Which is,
yeah.
It's funny, I think about now, the amount of times I ring, whether it's my dad or my mum still to this day. Dad, what the hell should I do here?
100%.
This just happened.
Yeah.
And it is, they're the people you ask for everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't really have that. Obviously, I have my dad, but he had his own things he was going through. So it was kind of like I was out there on my own and I was just I didn't have any clarity on what I wanted. So it was important.
It's a crazy change. Yeah. It's a crazy change, so it is.
Yeah.
And was it always jewellery you were interested in going into?
So I've always been fascinated by jewellery. So when I was younger, I worked at Pandora. So I worked there as a sales girl from like 16 to 21. And I just absolutely loved it. Like they taught me so much about like materials and customer service. And I was like top sales girl and all of the full-time staff used to get so annoyed at me because they were like, she's getting so much commission and she only works 2 days a week. And I'd be like, guys, you gotta work harder. Like, I just was like so obsessed with just, I was so driven in that job, probably more driven than in my like grad job, to be honest, because I was just like, I could see like how happy that jewelry made people. And they would come in and they would like tell me their like full life story within like 10 seconds of meeting them. And I felt like so part of their journey. And yeah, it was a really special job because I learned very high standards of customer service. And I just knew so much about jewelry from working there for so long.
How much did, out of interest, just like starting a brand in a world where you'd sold to, I don't know, thousands of people probably over time, like I'm sure that had a huge impact on being able to pick out pieces that were amazing. How were your first pieces that you picked out? How did you even come up with that?
Yeah, so when I was looking to start, I knew I wanted it to be jewelry because I had that background. But one of the biggest pain points that everyone had was that you had to take your jewelry off if you are in the shower, if you go to the gym, if you're like, basically you can't do anything in jewelry apart from like wear it to dinner and then take it off. And I definitely had that problem myself. So I knew if I wanted to do the business, I wanted it to solve that problem. So I started researching into all different ways that you could do jewelry. And I'd never heard of stainless steel before. And I came across it and I was just like, it feels too good to be true. Like this guy is like having me on, like, there's a catch here. There always is a catch, isn't there? I was like, you don't get anything in this world for free. And I was just like, do you know what, I'm just going to give it a go. I have nothing to lose. And ordered some of like maybe 5 or 6 samples. And the samples I ordered are still our bestsellers today.
Really?
Yeah.
No way,
Yeah,
wow.
which is like, I say that D.Louise is like a good white t-shirt. So it's like your really simple, like basics that you just go for time and time again. And it's just like, I'm obsessed with quality, obsessed with the product. And it's just like, it was just one of those moments that I just felt like everything like fell into place.
What were those first few months like then? Because it was during COVID. Like, were you able to source the product? How did you source it?
Do you know what? I honestly had no idea what I was doing like day to day. So I was...
None of us do.
Yeah, that's what I'm realising. Do you know
Honestly,
what?
no
The more
one does.
people I meet, the more I realise that actually no one has any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Which is great,
Yeah.
because we're all in it
all
together. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So I honestly was just, everything was like on gut feel. Everything was like, oh, I think I should order more product. Oh, I think we should have like custom packaging. I'd never had a playbook of like what's going to work and what's not going to work. And I was just throwing myself into everything and I was totally fearless. Like day to day, I would just like order some new product that I liked because they would send me like a catalogue and I would pick like 1, 2, 3. And then he would send it to me like 4 weeks later and I'll put it on the website and set it live. So it was honestly, there was no thought into this is our strategy and this is what the business is going to look like and this is the people that I want to go after. I was genuinely just buying product that I loved and building a business to find my purpose. And eventually it kind of turned into a bigger business, which is it's funny because I never realised it was going to turn out like this.
How much fun is it, you know, when you get samples back and you've ordered them and they're coming in the post and you're like a little kid at Christmas.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
We've a golf clothing brand and it's so funny, you know, you send something off and you're like, I want them to make this. And the package arrives back and you're so excited. And it always goes one of 2 ways. You're either absolutely chuffed, which happens about 5% of the time, or you're like, how the fuck did they make this? With what I asked them to make. You're like, are these people having a laugh?
Yeah. No, that happens a lot, to be honest. Yeah. And in the beginning, I sometimes would just buy off a photo. So she would send me like a photo and I'd be like, yeah, looks good. Then I'd order like 100 and it would come. And I'd be like, oh my God. And I'd be like, I've got 100 of these and I'm going to have to try and take a photo of them. And it was like, and then people would order it and be like, it doesn't look anything like the photo. I'd be like, it's fine. Don't worry. It's going to be okay.
Do you remember your first sale?
Yeah, it was actually my friend Molly, who I went to uni with.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
I remember.
class.
She like ordered from the website and I was like, this is amazing. But yeah, it was very surreal in the beginning.
Do you remember your first sale?
It was definitely, actually, do you know who the first person to buy from the brand was? I was the first person to buy from the fucking brand.
I was just testing the system, make sure it worked.
No, I was downstairs and remember they came and they were like, oh, we're going to launch it at 12 o'clock. So my phone went, I'll buy something at 12:01. And it like went bing. And they were like, oh, someone bought. But it was just me buying
That's so
something.
funny.
Like, yeah.
Did you have the Apple Watch and then it would like cha-ching on that?
We had the laptop on the screen and it literally cha-chinged.
It
And they were,
was-
what?
That was a terrible dopamine rush in the beginning.
Oh.
Yeah.
When did you turn that off? At what stage did it get so
I would
big?
probably say like a month in. So I was literally like waiting for this watch to like go off like every 10 minutes. So, but yeah, it's like, yeah, you have to turn it off. We sometimes turn it on Black Friday and then we're like, yeah, it's done now.
And in the very early days, were you running paid ads or was it all organic?
Yeah, so no, we had absolute zero organic. And I had like a private Instagram. D.Louise had like maybe 5,000 followers. But fortunately, Jack spent the whole of lockdown figuring out paid ads. So he was like, I've got this thing. And he was selling everything on paid ads. Like he was doing really well for his business. He was selling PlayStations through paid ads. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, but he was.
Was he robbing PlayStations? Come on.
He had like a contact at Game. They would come out with like 6 bags of PlayStations. And then there would be a queue. We can ask if we can leave this in, but there would be a queue around the corner waiting for the PlayStations to drop. And then there would someone come out of Game with 6 bags and put it in the back of our car and Jack would like drive away and I'd be like, they're all going to chase after him.
A contact, was it?
Yeah. He always tells his story, but he was so confident in paid ads. He was like, you do the jewellery and like I'll figure out all the marketing. And I was like, okay, fine, perfect. So we go live on like the Thursday. everyone who bought that day, I knew. It was like family, friends. My dad probably placed like 5 orders. And it was like, he put it in his golf chat, was like, everyone needs to buy from my daughter's jewellery brand. So I'm getting all these like random guys. And then it was like the day after, obviously then no one buys because we don't have any organic. We've sponged all the friends. So then it was like a few days and I was like, there's not really any sales coming through, Jack. Like, you're meant to be really good at this paid advertising thing. Like, what's going on? He was like, no, it's all fine. Like, the algorithm's just learning, blah, blah. And he tells me now that he was actually like, absolutely shitting it in the background because no one was buying any of the jewellery, and he spent £1,000 to get our first organic sale through paid advertising. And then from that point on, that's how it used to be so easy before iOS 14. It could like the algorithm was a lot better. So then from that moment, like once it got that first sale, it then figured out that it was we got more and more.
I'm definitely using that answer in the future though, which is if you ever given off to me about something like it's just the algorithm's learning. Give it time, it's learning.
Do you two remember the first time you were running ads back in the day for Pindaloo?
Pindaloo, I do, yeah.
So we were building a company back years ago. It was actually a financing company, but we needed to test like advertising and the way data ran through and stuff. So we had this like juggling toy company called Pindaloo. So the lads were like, oh, start running Pindaloo. So the lads are like paid media experts, so they are. So the lads go in one night, you know.
You call us that, not us.
Yeah, and they set up ads, and they're leaving the ads running and running and running. They obviously hadn't set a limit on how much they should spend, and so like the 2 lads had obviously spent a good few quid on ads, and they spent about 3 days trying to figure out how they were going to tell me that they'd spent like loads of money on paid ads.
That is so
and I think at the time it was probably about 1,000 quid.
It felt like loads,
But I think they thought they'd spent $1 million quid.
Yeah.
Oh my
When they
God.
eventually were like, oh, we spent like 1,000 quid on ads. I was like, oh, geez, I thought you were going to tell me like 100 grand on ads. So that is fine, lads. So.
But before I had D.Louise, Jack used to like find jobs for me to do just to like get him off his back. And he was like, because I was like, can you imagine, right? He goes off to work every day. He comes back, I've like watched 4 hours of the news, like the world is ending. And he's like, you need to stop watching the news. So he's like, why don't you do something? He was like giving me like jobs to do. And one of the things he was like, oh, if you can figure out Google ads, he would be like, you can run that for his other business. And I was like, okay, fine. So I was watching like YouTube, trying to figure out how to run Google ads. And I was like, so I watched this one YouTube and I was like, right, I'm going to start bidding on Yeezy, okay?
Okay.
So I was like, okay, so this is going to get him loads of ads. This is going to get him loads of sales because he used to sell like Yeezys, Balenciagas, all this stuff. And I honestly like put in Yeezy as like one of the top searches. I was like, well, it's got a really high search volume, so it's gonna like it's gonna be amazing. So I literally like put it in, and within 20 minutes, it spent £500. And I was literally like, what is going on? Like, oh my God! So I had to like quickly like turn it off, and he was like, how's it going? And I was like, oh. I was like, have you sold any Yeezys? He was like, no. I was like, okay. He then was like, you can't do that anymore. I was like, oh.
So I am so intrigued at his store. So he's selling PlayStations, Yeezys.
So he had like a personal shopping business. So you know that he would like sell designer goods that were hard to get to high net worth individuals, basically.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. He was one of the biggest in the UK at
No
one
way.
point.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
What a wheeler dealer. Like, they're my
He
favorite people in the world.
Oh my
like,
God, yeah.
That's like entrepreneur to the core.
Yeah,
Like,
you should get him on. He can have his own episode.
How do
yeah.
I buy something for £5 and sell it for £10? Like,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah,
You know?
100%. He was selling sweets on the playground. Yeah.
And so how long was it just the two before at the start then?
So I was working on it probably for like a year and a half on my own.
Okay.
And I would have Jack like advising me. And we also had another co-founder, Ollie, who Jack and Ollie went to school together. And he was like, Jack said to Ollie, I need you to work for free, but you can have some of this business because Liv needs some help. So he was helping me like pack orders or if anything needed to happen. But it was really just me figuring it out, like what on earth was going on. But what I really enjoyed about the beginning of it was genuinely, I didn't do it to have a business. I did it to keep myself busy and to find my true purpose. And it's funny because I think maybe if I had the idea in the beginning to like start a business and grow it into this massive thing and have this cool strategy, it might not have been what it is today. So yeah, it was about a year and a half on my own. And then tragically, my brother then also committed suicide. So I had this whole nother like atomic bomb go off in my life. And it was then after he passed away, I was like, right, I need to really give this a good go. And it was probably, that was like the catalyst of taking it a lot more seriously. We then made a hire because I was like, I can't go through all this shit and like not have anything good come from it. So yeah, it was from that point was a bit of a catalyst, yeah.
Was it at that point you left your other job, or had you already done that as well?
I left about 4 months after starting, yeah. So I was on my own then, yeah.
Probably the one question, I don't know about you guys, but I get asked the most from podcasts, people DMing me is, oh, I was doing something on the side, but from listening to the story of X, Y, or Z, I've decided to go off and go in 100% now, which is always great to hear. So
yeah.
So people are particularly interested in.
I was too scared to not have a job to like pay my rent and stuff. I didn't want to have to depend on someone else. And having that job like in the background just meant that you can not worry so much about if you're going to pay rent and stuff. So yeah.
Before we go into the growth side of the business then and how you got to the size you are today, what was it like in those early days working with your other half?
Yeah, it's funny.
Challenging, easy?
So we get on really well, and I think it's because we're so opposite. So he is obviously very commercially driven, very such a visionary, and I'm kind of just like obsessed with product and obsessed with brand and marketing. So it works really well. It works really well together. And do you know what? I get asked this question a lot, and your other half that you spend so much time with, I actually think it's amazing that I can share so much of my problems with him, and he understands it from the start to the finish. And same with him. And if we're in a meeting or if there's something going on, I know that he always has my back, and he knows I'll always have his. So it works really well for us, yeah. But I know it doesn't work for everyone.
Do you find then there needs to be a boundary between work life and home life, or do you find that conversations about work just don't see?
It's really interesting because in the beginning, I used to listen to a lot of people being like, you need to have separate boundaries, like you need to make sure that you switch off from work. But I quickly realized that we enjoy work so much, and it's a huge part of our relationship. So it would kind of be weird if we went for dinner and didn't talk about work, because we were like, what else have we got to talk about? Do you know what I mean? So it's like it takes up about 95% of my day. So yeah, I stopped listening to what everyone used to say, and now we don't really have boundaries with it. Don't get me wrong, if we're like in bed and I'm falling asleep and he's like, oh my God, have you seen this? I'm just like, shut up. But yeah, we've got into like a bit of a dance with it, and it works for us. Yeah.
I almost think it'd be weirder not to talk about work at home, because like if you had a disagreement during the day or something huge happened, and you're both just sitting there looking at the TV like, oh God.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's after 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Not allowed to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
I worked with my now wife before as well.
Nice.
And it's funny, like people always ask questions like that. Do you ever talk about work? And I'm like, well, if you've had a shit day or like something's hard in work, the fact that I can like go home and talk to her about it and you figure it out means that you go to bed and you're like, perfect, everything's fine again.
And she understands everything.
And she understands it straight away. I think it's probably the best thing in the world, you know? And I understand everything that she goes through, and it's this back and forth. So it's like, as you said, it's 95% of your time.
Yeah.
So if you can't talk about it, it'd be so weird, wouldn't it?
And before the business, it actually, work used to be like a strain on our relationship. Like I couldn't understand why he was working so much. I just thought it was so weird. And then, if he wanted to work weekends, I was like, you obviously don't love me. Like, what's going on? And then as soon as I had a business, I was like, oh, I totally get it. Yeah. So it's like a nice understanding with each other.
Yeah, fair. I think I'm the opposite, which is I need that separation when I come home and close the door. I'm like, all right, that was a terrible day.
Yeah.
Jack shouted at me. I need somebody now not to talk about work.
Yeah.
I can get by
That's
that.
fair enough. Yeah. Everyone's different.
On the
Do you want to get anything off your chest?
He doesn't. On the growth side of the business then, was there a moment or I guess a strategy that started to really take things off in those first couple of years?
We were heavily reliant on paid advertising for the first 2.5 years. And then we had an incredible Black Friday. So I think Jack has spoken about it on a podcast, but we sold basically all of our stock on this Black Friday for a few months. And it was just like, what is going on? At this point, there was like 3 people in the team. And I was like, this is wild. Like, what is going on? And it was that moment that Jack decided to take a step away from his other business. So he sold that and he was like, right, I think we can really give this a good go. There's obviously huge potential here for the business. And that's when we decided, so but we were obviously in a relationship and it was our sole income. So we were like, we need to make sure that what we're focusing on is the right thing. So that's when we took some advice. So we started working with a company called For Now, which is Steve Hewitt, ex-CEO of Gymsharks.
Gymshark, yeah.
The Gymshark guy, everyone knows him for that. And he started an advisory company with the ex-C-suites of Gymshark. And we started working with them, honestly, just on like an advisory basis, like what we're doing, like where are we going? And it was really clear from the first meeting. I think he asked us like how many staff we had. We all had different numbers written on our post-it notes, which was wild. He was like, what's the 5-year goal? We all had different numbers on the post-it notes. And we quickly realized that we needed to take it a bit more seriously. And he started to understand the business and the numbers, and then he wanted actually to invest in the company. And he's a very hard man to say no to. So we were like, okay, like it was, we eventually came to an agreement and he did invest. But from that point on, I feel like he gave us a lot of clarity, instilled like a lot of discipline into the decisions we were making. And everyone started to take us a little bit more seriously from that point, because it's very easy to start a business now. Like you can set up an Instagram, set up a website, like it's quite quick. And what he did was just gave us a lot of credibility, which was great.
Did you find in those first couple of months after he invested that, you needed to create investor board updates? Did everything feel a little bit more structured?
He is fortunately a very relaxed investor, but he put in so much process in place. Like before, we obviously had a P&L, but we weren't really like reflecting on it and making decisions based off that. We were kind of just making decisions in the moment. So yeah, he did really give us a lot of structure. And we figured out then what our 5-year plan was and what our goals were. And then it made us realize that we all need to go in that direction versus just kind of like all over the place, which is where we were going.
But it's amazing how day to day you can all think you're aligned and know where you're heading. Like we sometimes get Jack's dad in, who was like a sports psychologist and I works with businessmen. He could come in and he did a lot at the start of HappyStack, where he'd sit down and he'd ask us those types of questions you were asked, and we'd all write down our answers. And the difference in the answers was crazy. Like you're so far off without realizing, because you're spending so much time day to day working in the detail, you think we must all be heading in the same direction. But
well, we call him the professional shit stirrer because we all are perfectly happy with each other, and he comes in and he's like, can you all draw a picture in crayon there? And you're like, of course
what the
we
office
can.
would look like in a year.
And we do it, and then we're like, why the fuck have you got that there? That's the stupidest thing ever. And like and Dad just sits back and crosses legs and smiles, and you're like, you're actually a dirtbag, Dad. I'm like, for God's sake, we all hate each other now for the next hour. But by the end of it, you're like perfectly aligned. And you know what? That thing of, if you don't have a 5-year plan that you're going towards, it's very hard in the short term, because if something doesn't happen in the short term, like if you have a target and you don't reach it, then it feels like the world is ending, you know? Whereas if a short-term target is just a part of this bigger mission or reason for doing it, it's really, really easy if like, okay, it's not quite working out, to change course. It's really easy to not stick to it. It's also not completely disheartening if you don't reach it, because there's this bigger mission that you're driving towards that you're all going in the right direction towards, and it just makes everything a little bit easier. So it does. So
100%. Yeah.
Wise advice from Jack's dad right there.
Love that.
And what did you guys do with that investment then? Was it, I see you did some brand collaborations were a big thing, working with influencers.
Yeah, so it was actually a minority investment, and we didn't necessarily need the capital, which was a fortunate position that we were in. But we have done some collaborations since then. Like we just did one with Chelsea Women.
I saw, yeah. Big Chelsea fan. Yeah,
Oh, are you? So Jack was too. So he was literally like,
gotta do.
yeah, he was buzzing. But I think for us, it's like our biggest superpower as a brand is like everything we do is so authentic, and the partners that we choose are very aligned with our values, our goals, and our mission. And I think people nowadays, where there's so much AI and so much noise out there, they really look to us for that like genuine and that authenticity, because I just think where I'm the face of the brand, they kind of trust me. So I feel like that's a huge privilege to be able to be in that position. So I'm making sure that I'm making decisions every day that is aligning with what is true to us.
Can I ask you on a more practical level, like that collaboration with Chelsea, how did that even come about happening?
So I have a very good friend called Cherry, and she has a club called 400 Club, and it's all about getting women interested in sport. And when I first joined, I was just like, this is amazing, like going to VIP hospitality, like sports, like just loving it. But what I realized on a deeper level that is like the movement that she's trying to create is that women aren't interested in sport. They're not interested in playing it or watching it. So she's trying to create a movement. And fortunately, she made the introduction to Chelsea, and because that's her whole business model, and it worked out. So yeah, it was a connection through there.
Genius.
Yeah.
How do you pick the brands to do collaborations with? Is there like you go out and look and you search for them, or is it a lot of inbound and then you're kind of...
I think it's a mix of both. I think Steve always says shy nouts. Shy barns get nout. So I think it's about you have to ask.
Sorry, say that again.
Shy barns get nout.
I like that.
Which means
I like that.
obviously shy people don't
Go
get
for
anything.
it.
Yeah. So he always what he's given me is a lot of confidence. So I have never really had a lot of confidence. So with him and Jack and all these people that I have around me are always just trying to give me that confidence to go for things. So with the Chelsea thing, that was an inbound, but what I'm trying to do now is more like, who do we want to work with? Who aligns with us? And then putting myself out there. And most of the time, it has been positive, but if they don't reply, nothing actually happens. So I'm just like, you just have to go for it and just see what happens.
Do you know what's so funny? When you do go out and reach out to people and they don't reply, you feel so disheartened. Yeah. And the reality is sometimes you meet them, like 6 months later, they reach out to you and they've no clue that you ever messaged them in their entire life.
Yeah,
they don't even know that you messaged them.
Noise.
It's not a thing at all. It's just lost in the middle of it all. Like, you
people
gotta
are so
shoot your
busy
shot.
and it's like, you don't realise how much goes on in everyone's life. So I'm very understanding of like big brands and stuff that they don't reply. I'm just like, whatever.
I think there is kind of a hard skin you build up in sales though, where you get used to rejection very quickly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't last a day in sales. Like,
Oh, you'd be a disaster.
I'd be one phone call where they tell me to go myself would be, I'm out of here.
Jamie going home crying at the end of the day. No?
I used to cry. I used to do the customer service and I would cry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But customer service, everyone's so mean to them.
I used to call them and be like, hi, my name's Olivia. Please can you just take down your Trustpilot review on Facebook? And they'd be like, who is this? Yeah, and
Did they take them down?
They normally would take it down.
I would have taken it down. I'd have been like, oh.
Because people behind a keyboard will say a lot, but you speak to them,
Yeah, and it would be the smallest thing. I'm like, guys, come on, you've literally spent £40 on a necklace. Like, it's going to be okay. Like,
Life's okay.
Yeah.
So do you go through your Trustpilot, look for bad reviews and give them a call and be like, really? That's so funny.
I do that still. I mean, it like, my heart is like pounding so hard when I do it. But most of the time they're just normal people. They're just frustrated. Yeah. So you just need, as long as you just, they feel unheard. So it's like if you give them the space to listen to them, then they're normally okay.
Yeah.
We had another founder on a couple of months ago.
A friend of ours.
And he had the total opposite approach. Aggressively writing back, replying
That's
to
so
negative
interesting.
reviews.
I mean, some of them you can't get through, but
His business isn't doing as well as yours.
He said there's not one bad review about his product, but there's a million bad reviews about his service. Very aggressive finder. Yeah.
I think we went 90 days without one bad review.
Wow.
Yeah. I hired a head of customer experience called Ella, and she's more obsessed with the customer than me, which is incredible. Like what she does day in, day out, I couldn't do it. Well, I tried to do it for like first 2 years. It was awful. But yeah, so she's amazing. So really looks after them.
Can I ask something about just the brand in general? So obviously gone into a jewellery space, which is like as old as time almost, yeah? What was it that allowed you to kind of grow so quickly in a space that's like old, seems to be around for forever?
Yeah.
Like is it the social media approach? Is it the messaging? Is it the product and the angle you took? You mentioned earlier, you don't have to take it off anywhere, or you can wear it everywhere. Yeah. And what do you think was the biggest?
I think there was a few things. I think business is all about timing, and we definitely caught the end of a boom in the e-commerce space. But you can only survive that space if you have a good product. And where I was so obsessed with that product and delivering a good service to our customers, I was so prepared to be like the forefront of that stainless steel movement. And stainless steel now is such a growing category. Like I know that the big brands are moving into it, and we definitely had that first mover advantage. And I think we have almost like created the category, and we might not have been the first brand that did do stainless steel, but it was the first that I knew of. Crafted men's, they were in that space. But it was a good product. It wasn't even the story in the beginning, because I had a private Instagram for 2 years and no one even knew who I was or why it was called D.Louise, and it was only Steve that was like, guys, what are you doing? Like, he was like, you need to get yourself out there, like tell everyone your story, like who are you, why are you doing this? And then it was when I started to be vulnerable and tell my story, it really then started resonating with the audience on like a different level. So I think we solved we made a category which is normally very traditional, very disruptive, and we were basically saying to all of the big brands, like, you can wear this all the time, and their jewelry you can't. Which I don't think that a lot of them liked, but I love it.
I can understand why.
Yeah. I love the disruptiveness of stainless steel, and like when people hear it, even like nowadays, they're like, it feels too good to be true. And we've kept that quality and that price point really accessible and affordable. So
because your price point sits very nicely between costume jewellery and kind of sterling silver and solid gold. Did you ever consider moving into the higher end market?
I think for me, I wanted to make D.Louise make everyone feel good. So I wanted it, they say it's like a lipstick effect, where people, women will go out and buy a really good lipstick to make them feel good. Wasn't that expensive. They can wear it every day and they get a lot of happiness from it. And I've sort of instilled that theory into D.Louise, where you can come on our website, and if you only have £40 to spend, you can spend £40. And I think like where the cost of living is so bad these days, like people don't have that money to spend anymore. So I was a huge believer in always making it really affordable.
Was there an educational piece there then, kind of educating the consumer, this is what the product is? And
yeah, no, for sure, because stainless steel is traditionally used for like kitchen sinks. So when you're like telling people,
get your sink.
Yeah, yeah, it's so funny. And like Rolex watches are made from stainless steel, but their selling point isn't that it's stainless steel. Yeah. So it's been traditionally in the jewelry market, just no one's ever had to like overly explain it before. But yeah, the best way I describe it is that if you had a piece of bread and you tried to put butter on the bread, I'm not going mad, I promise. the butter would not go into the bread. It would just peel on the thing and it just wouldn't work. But if you put that bread in a toaster and then you took it out and it was all warm and then you tried to butter it, the butter would soak into it. And that's exactly what our process is and the stainless steel is. So the gold is melting into the material. So we've had to do so much work on that because no one really gets why
It's actually a brilliant analogy because I would have had no idea how it actually works. I love that. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, so that's how it does. Yeah, I know, you all thought I was mad. She's got lost it.
But now I get how it works.
Like Sunday night.
If we can take a step back, so last week myself and Jack met with a group of founders in Dublin in the cosmetic space.
Yeah.
And they were at the stage you were at where Instagram profile is private. The next step is you kind of have to put yourself out there as a founder. How did that go? Or were you nervous putting your face on the brand in those early days?
Yeah, it was so difficult. And obviously now you see me, I'm on this podcast and I can chat quite well. But in the beginning, it took me 5 hours to film a 30-second video about my story. And honestly, this videographer was like, "Are you okay?" And I was just like, I remember I had to just, I was trying to, it was a brand story, so I had to tell my story from the beginning to the end. And I honestly just couldn't speak. And we were sat in this studio for about 5 hours and I was like, I'm just gonna have to go home and we're just not gonna be able to do it. I just can't do it. And obviously I've done a lot of work to come to where I am now, but it's what people don't want to feel is that uncomfortableness in the beginning. And I really struggled with that and I found it really hard. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. I always say, if a baby was crawling and they're trying to walk, if it can't walk the first time, you're not going to be like, oh, don't worry, you can just not walk for the rest of your life. You're going to be
these are great analogies here. Keep these coming, huh? I'm going to write a book on these. So
you're going to be like, get up, dust yourself off and keep going. And I think that resilience piece is I'm going to give you another analogy. My tank also gets empty, but I just refill it really quickly. And I think resilience is all about, it's not that you don't have hard days, it's about how quickly you can come back from them. Yeah.
We had an amazing chat earlier with Grace.
Yeah.
Talking about growth, content, founder-led content. You'd said your first 2 years, your Instagram was private.
Yeah.
Was it Steve then who said, you need to actually lean into this thing? What did that process look like? Because I think if you look today, you can see that your Instagram and D.Louise Instagram, they're so tightly coupled. It almost looks like one and the same. Yeah. Is that intentional? Is there a lot of effort goes into that? Is there a risk even that you're so associated as the face of the brand that the brand needs you?
I think that people buy from people and they trust me and they trust my face. And I think D.Louise would exist without me. But I think that it exists better because I'm there. So I'm happy to be a voice for it and I'm happy to be the face of it because a lot of people have gone through a lot of hard things. And when they come to D.Louise, I think it reminds them that life is a bit shit sometimes, but it's about how you can come back from the things that happen to you. And I get hundreds of messages like, my dad died or this happened to me and I'm going through a really tough time right now and I heard and read your story and now I feel better. So the more vulnerable I'm being on my page and leaking into D.Louise, it's reminding people that we are more than just a jewelry brand. We are a feeling and a story and we are real and I'm real and the story is real. So I think it will always be, I won't necessarily always be the face of it, but I will always be part of the story because I want the brand, I want it for my kids. I want to work on this for the rest of my life. So I'm happy to be intertwined with it. And yeah, the connection between the two, I think it's so strong because I am the brand and then the brand is me.
Yeah.
So so it's good.
I love that attitude. Must be very rewarding getting those messages.
Do you know what? It really is because I actually really struggled to talk about my feelings and talk about grief, because grief is really hard to talk about and it's a really uncomfortable topic. And even if you have like a close friend who has lost someone, no one knows how to act around you and no one knows how to talk to you and they don't know what advice to give. And a girl at work, her friend just lost someone and she was like, what do I text her? Like, how do I make her feel good? And I feel so strong that I can give her like advice that I know will make her friend feel better. And I love that people can come to me if they're feeling some kind of way and I can give them advice, or I can be vulnerable, and then it's allowing them to have strength and vulnerability in their own story.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's honestly incredible,
is,
by the
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Yeah. Really, your ability to talk about it even now and stuff
Yeah.
must have taken so long to
For sure.
figure out.
Yeah, it was
You've just-
8 years. 8 years, it was her anniversary the other day. And I was like, it feels so weird that it's taken me 8 years to be able to like comfortably talk about it. But some people can never talk about it for like their whole lives. Yeah. So it's something that I'm even discovering more and more now.
Must be amazing though to wear pieces in her name as well.
No,
that
for
she's
sure.
always there.
Yeah, and she would love it, so it's good. Yeah.
I love that.
She would love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she would. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool.
Nice.
So you've talked about the personal brand side, using that to help you grow the brand collaborations. Have you thought much about, and obviously the niche that you came into, or almost one of the first brands to do it in the stainless steel space, have you thought about moving into other sectors or men's jewellery? I know Jack was asking about earlier.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah.
That
Andy
might be
Pierce.
might be our
Andy Pierce
first team.
special.
I think the biggest risk to entrepreneurs is not having enough focus, and lots of the great.
Don't say that. Stop. Can we cut?
Yeah.
So you
glad
keep
you
going
said
there.
that.
Yeah.
You actually,
Always like a Jack.
you just ruined my day. You just ruined my day entirely. Okay, this is the worst thing you could have said.
You've proven a point.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what's funny about it is that this is why me and Jack work so well, because he is like a born entrepreneur. Like he would have like 10 businesses if he could, but I'm the one that's like, let's rein it in. Like we don't need to do that. Like
I've got 2 of them.
yeah.
Definitely don't listen.
Yeah. But it will benefit you in the long run if you do remain focused. So I think for us, like the category is growing and the big players are entering the stainless steel space. And I want to be able to dominate that space with D.Louise and like really own it. And I always say like our biggest superpower is like no one else can lean into like sport. Like no other jewelry brand could do a sports collab with like Chelsea, because you can't wear their jewelry because it'll tarnish. So our focus is going to be to dominate that category.
It's funny talking about sticking to an area though, because it's for any brand that's in, say, not in stainless steel, it's almost tarnishes their brand or changes it, or it's very, not tarnished, but like it's very hard to go, I do this and I do this. Like it's incredibly difficult.
What, in terms of jewelry, do you mean?
Like, yeah, so if someone else wants to come and compete with you, they can't really compete with you.
It basically ruins their whole business.
Exactly.
It's like everything we've been selling to you for the last 10 years is actually crap, but we're going to now do this.
So our golf clothes, we make golf clothes. So your dad plays golf, you mentioned, okay? Like, you know that, the golf clothes, it's all the same, okay? It's like built for 40-year-old men. Yeah, polo shirts, slacks, those type of things. So we were like, let's make streetwear golf wear. Yeah. And the whole idea behind it was none of those people, there's loads of people who play golf now that aren't in traditional clubs, who therefore don't wear traditional golf clothes and want to wear something different. But none of these big brands are going to be able to create those clothes, because then their current market are all going to be like, what are you doing over there? That's crazy. Don't do that. And so there's this brand new market opened up where you're just sitting there going, no one else can make this. No big brand can make this. And so even in years to come, they're all eventually going to go, we just need to buy one of you. Because we can't make it. So we need access to that audience, so we're just going to buy one of you. And so I could imagine exactly the same thing happening to you, not so distant future. One of those like talking about the big multi-billion-dollar players in the world, turning around and going, we need to get in on this market. And you're going to be sitting there going,
Yeah.
Come get me.
Yeah, it is
Or not,
interesting.
whatever, yeah.
But it's because waterproof jewellery is like a totally fresh topic. Like, it hasn't really been around for that long, so we don't really know where it's going to go. But the demand for it is growing so much. So they are either going to have to come up with a solution that works with their current materials, or they'll have to switch to stainless steel, but it would damage their,
They won't
lots
be
of their
able to.
reputation.
It's the second you try to do both,
Yeah, it doesn't make
really
sense.
work,
Yeah.
because then people start going, am I buying this or am I buying this?
Yeah.
And once you start
The
asking,
selling point for one contradicts the selling point for the other.
I know.
So
It's
exactly.
crazy.
Lovely.
Maybe a stupid question, but is there part of you that actually wouldn't mind some of the big players coming into the stainless steel market, because a rising tide lifts all boats?
I
and
always think that, yeah.
So there's now
like,
more education about it, and when people are starting to look it up, your brand is there front and centre.
100%. I think there's, I'm seeing a lot of players, like I know Oliver Bonus just released a waterproof jewellery line, and I think I'm seeing it everywhere. And that gives me like fuel. I'm like, come on, like bring it on. Like let's go. Like, I know that we are the best. I know that we have the best story. I know that we have the best brand, best quality, like everything. We've just been laying the foundations for like however long. And then they enter and it's the same as a white t-shirt. Like, you can get a white t-shirt from Asda, but you can also spend £150 on one. And it's like, you'll have different markets for different people.
Asda or 150?
Obviously 150.
Look at you being nice to me over there.
I love it. So that's new product ranges.
Yeah.
What about internationalization? Where are you predominantly at the minute?
So we were 50-50 UK, US. But obviously Trump had other ideas. So the tariff situation was a huge issue for us.
What was that like, actually running a brand? Like,
It was horrendous.
Was it? Yeah.
It was actually horrendous, because obviously 50% of our business was there. So we had this huge revenue stream that we needed to pivot or decide what we were going to do with it. We did decide to pivot, and we started moving into the UAE. So we've actually had really good traction there, and a little bit of Europe, but we haven't figured that out so well yet. But definitely the US is still there. It's now probably about 40% of our revenue, but the consumer spending there it feels different. It feels like they're not as confident there anymore. But I think it's the same with anything in business. You make these decisions and then it works really well, and then you get really scared to change your mind or change your direction. But I think one thing that works really well for us is how agile we are. And we do have a USDC there, so it would be quite expensive to pull out completely. But I think it's about learning that, okay, it's not working so well, so where else can we go, rather than just trying to like bury our head in the sand and not making any decisions. So yeah, that's where we're at in a minute.
Interestingly, 3 weeks ago, I think, my missus turned around to me and she was reading Morning Brew. And she goes, Jack, guess what? Jewellery is the fastest growing sector in fashion at the moment and is predicted to be the fastest growing for a while. And I was like, at the time, being like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, didn't think too much of it until we were coming to talk to you. And I was like, it's a sector that seems to be growing so fast. I hadn't realised. I looked this up yesterday. I obviously never look up McKinsey reports in my entire by quick Google, or ChatGPT, whatever we want to call it. And Asia Pacific's like 60% of the world's jewellery over there, and the UAE is apparently popping. So some nice research there.
Yeah, love that.
Well done, yeah.
Did you do the same thing as me?
I will now. I think what it is like traditionally jewellery, like men would buy jewellery for women on like birthdays, Christmas, whereas I think there's been a huge shift in consumer behaviour that women are now buying it for themselves. So a lot of like our purchases are self-bought, so women are going out and buying what they want. So I think that's probably where the growth is coming from, is that decision makers are
much safer too.
Yeah.
I've found.
I was going to say, that'll be
safer.
difficult. Yeah. If you think about the next 12 months, what does that look like for yourself and D.Louise?
I think I would love to have shops one day. I don't know if that will be in the next 12 months, but it'll probably be in planning of the next 12 months. And I think what I really want to do is what we've been speaking about, is dominating that industry and dominating the waterproof jewellery market, because I see such potential there, and I know that we can do it better than everyone else. So it's about laying the foundations and knowing that even when they are searching for it, they're going to D.Louise, like, top of mind. That's the first thing they look for, because I think it was just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So yeah, dominating the category.
How do you go about setting up brick and mortar stores?
Oh, I have no idea. If you know anyone, let me know. I think, yeah, no clue, but figure it out.
My favorite thing of everything that you say is just like, I'm gonna dominate.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah, I love it.
We're gonna own this shit. Come for us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good. Yeah, love it.
There's always a few questions we ask guests before we wrap up. So one is, and this is probably going to be a tough one for you actually, but if you were to start another D2C business today that wasn't jewellery, what would it be and why?
So I'm laughing because Jack would set this up tomorrow if he could, is like dog supplements.
Now,
That's a good answer.
what type of supplements are we talking here now?
Well, I don't know.
Are these like hydration for dogs, or are they like CBD for dogs?
No,
or...
more like if your dog needs like vitamins.
Yeah.
We've actually had this answer before because then the rationale was people don't cheap out on their pets and their pets can't complain about the taste. So people are like, oh, I'll buy that.
People are obsessed with their dogs, and they would just want them to be like, is it Scrumbles? If I totally butchered the name, she's doing really well. She does dog prebiotics for their gut. How do you know if a dog's
See, that's the beauty of it, yeah.
Well, there is a way you could tell how the dog's gut is.
Well, she was saying, I saw her on a panel the other day, and she was saying that in their office is like loads of poo-themed things. So they have like poo cakes. It's all like prebiotics.
Poo cakes?
Yeah, like obviously not real poo, but like in the shape of poo. It's like...
Because obviously it's prebiotics for the dogs.
Yeah, so they're saying that the dogs have good poos. I mean, maybe she should be on the podcast.
That is phenomenal advertising opportunity right there.
Yeah.
Like, I'd watch that.
All I know is if you as a brand send an email addressed to the dog, like, you're printing sales.
Yeah,
People,
or if it comes with its name on,
Oh, that is genius.
But do people
isn't it?
freak out? That's like, how do you know the name of my dog?
No, but you give it to them on the website.
You forget about that.
Yeah,
like.
fair, yeah.
But imagine I could find out everyone's dog's name in the world and just send them a little gift. But it was to not to Joe Ballard. It was to Rolo Ballard.
Great name for a dog.
The owners would freak out. I'd be straight on buying. I'd be like,
Do you guys have dogs?
No. Do you?
No.
Yeah, it's hard to relate when you don't have a dog.
Yeah.
The other question, which is actually given to us by Grace. So two parts to this. One is, her question to you was, why did you do your rebrand? And now that it's done, is there anything that you would do differently?
So the reason why we did the rebrand was that everything we've spoken about, that D.Louise was like an experiment in the beginning, never had a strategy or long-term vision for the brand. And then when the brand evolved, we felt like it was only right to also evolve the identity of it. And like I said in the beginning, everything was so secret, like no one knew me, no one knew why it was called D.Louise. And then with the rebrand, every single thing is about my mum, and every single colour is, like, it was her, she loves lilies, so lily was our main colour of the brand. The logo was so rubbish on wood before, and it was like how we were doing her a disservice. So when we did the rebrand, we were like, it was like a rebirth of D.Louise, and it's like, this is who we are, this is our DNA, and how we're going to show up for you. So it was amazing.
Yeah,
loved it. What would I do differently? A rebrand is like pulling off a plaster. It's never the right time. It's never going to be smooth. You're always going to see the old logo, the old colours probably popping up everywhere. I think what I would do differently is, for the launch, it was incredible. Like, we took the customer on the journey. They really understood it, because you have to tell them why you're doing something. Otherwise, people don't like change. What I would do differently is that I would have probably done it sooner. We started working on it like 18 months before, and it was kept on getting pushed back. We had like 100,000 green boxes, and we were like, what the hell are we going to do with them? So there were so many decisions that were like that pushed it back, and they were the right decisions in the time because it was for the business. But I would have done it as soon as it was right, because then figured out the rest.
We sometimes do something with founders, which is we look back over their branding and their website and products.
Yeah.
And you said you want to have this brand forever. So it'll be really interesting for you. It's called the Wayback Machine, to look back in 10, 20, 30 years to look at, geez, that first rebrand. Can you remember what that was like? And
yeah, it'll be crazy. The first box. So our first box was white with pink. Don't even like pink. Don't know why I did that. And then our second one was then bright green with gold, which I actually did quite like. And then now it's like we call it cloud with amber and charcoal. So it's very different. Yeah. So if I see a green box, I'm like, oh, like no.
So you like the green one, no?
I do, but now I've got the new one. I'm like, yeah.
I think with branding and stuff, it's funny because the worst advice you could ever give someone at the start of a company is to go spend loads of time on your brand and website. But then once you have success and you actually go look back at it and you realize, oh my God, this thing is terrible. You're like, you can't get it done quick enough.
Yeah, 100%. And if I had spent all that time in the beginning figuring out the brand, I would never have started.
That's what I mean, nothing would have happened. So you almost have to always do it that way.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're always, no matter what, you're always going to be a bit disappointed that you didn't do it sooner.
Yeah.
But also, you've got to be glad that you didn't do it at the start.
Yeah, for sure.
we're never getting rid of Flippy.
Never.
No way.
Right,
Don't
here
even
we
try
go.
a rebrand over there, mate.
Andy's over there. What do we think of this green?
Well, I love that green, and I love Flip. Apparently, mascots are amazing. Look at Michelin.
Look at
Sorry, the real
He
question.
is a bit like the Michelin Man, isn't he?
Mascots are it.
The real question, what is Flippy?
Is it a pancake?
Yeah!
It's obvious.
I was going to say a paddling pool with a fat guy in. And I was like,
Actually is, isn't it? Oh.
but then I decided pancake.
It's the syrup.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've gotten a couple of donuts.
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 A glazed donut. Yeah, I got it now. Yeah.
Or like
It's a stack of pancakes. Flippy.
We're just like some melting tire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, it was, to be fair.
Nice.
Oh, I get it. Stack. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm there.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Olivia, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
That was an
for
absolute
having me.
pleasure. Yeah. No.
Thank
love
you
it.
very much.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks a million for that. Really appreciate it.